Kazu. Hold on, we're nearly there.
When we last left off, Kite and company had just deleted the third phase of the Cursed Wave, resulting in Morgana losing another piece of herself and the damage to the system being plainly visible now outside of the infested areas. Returning to Fort Alf shows that the team hasn't made anything worse, which is always a good sign. However, at the same time the phase was fought, a system malfunction of the railways of the country did occur.
Unseen wind of plague shrieks across the border. This is what it meant. The virus refused to remain in the world and began flooding our territory, the real world.
And considering the metropolitan area of Tokyo can have as many as 3,000 trains arrive and depart at a given station in a day, there are a few systems that could have been worse affected. In Fort Alf, Elka has found a large stash of aromatic grass for Mia, whose conditioning is worsening, reflecting almost exactly the system's condition, and she's completely forgotten who Kite is. Lios sends an email, overtaking the weapon shop NPC for a meeting, which showcases Balmug likewise confronting Lios, angered over his multiple deceptions.
Our free will? You just used us!
This is why I don't like kids.
Yet Lios is trying to cover his ass now, since he has a front row seat to what's causing all of these problems. Lios gives them an area where he has detected abnormal data, rising implacable sipping bug. Black Rose isn't available, so just grab a third. Oh, and Lios will be overseeing the deletion personally. A P core given by Lios, 2 H cores, and 2 I cores are needed to open it. And apparently, according to Lios, the damage is far worse than he expected. Fortunately, it's not another phase battle, just a data bug time visitor. Apparently, the viral errors implanted by Morgana are truly growing exponentially, and it's possible the game servers themselves could become naught but one enormous virus that could then spread to the rest of the net, consuming everything. Granted, if it reaches that point, CC Corp will pull the servers, but if they were to do that, everyone trapped in the game would die, along with any chance of curing anyone else that might be affected if the virus spreads from the servers before CC Corp pulls them. Naturally, after such bad news, we need to get even worse news piled on after it. Yep, Puras has reappeared. He just won't go away, will he? Puros' area is dying windmills neigh, and he declares rare items will appear if a love spell is recited. Do I even need to snark at that to say how absolutely asinine that is?
Yes, this is it! It must be here! Sri Jaya Wardena Purakote! Sri Jaya Wardena Purakote! Sri Jaya Wardena Purakote! Give me those items! I was the one who gave you the information, so I believe that this is fair.
Sure, but what are you...
I really want them! Friend, please understand! Whoa! Friend, I'll put them on right now! What? This is... This is a complete course! What an unpredictable world it is! Live long and prosper! Let's meet again!
You know, he only does this to himself. How the hell did Hiroshi Matsuyama accept being portrayed as Puros in such an insulting manner? Guy must have a hell of a sense of humor. Next up is Generous Bemused Virgin, which Ryoko invited Kite to earlier, stating there's a rare item there. And deep in, we get an actual cutscene. The hell? Ryoko's inexperience has her easily manhandled by the monster in the cutscene, even though she's managed to level up quite fast in a matter of days. Kite fells it, and Ryoko apologizes for her carelessness and general uselessness, with Kite reassuring her, ending the scene. To contrast the attempt at fluffy feelings and failing entirely, Aura has sent a message, telling Kite he is needed on the Sigma server, but as you expect, without an area, she's not going to show. Black Rose is around, having received a message from Ballmug. Yet despite how deep we are into the game now, Black Rose hasn't been notified of his change of sides.
What? He sided with Lios! He's so arrogant, a coward, and strong, and is the descendant of Fiona, and...
Don't worry, Black Rose, I had a fun time insulting him too. The area glitches, signifying Aura actually has made it, though briefly, to the root town, giving up the location Lambda Merciless Grieving Furnace. However, there are things to do before that, so instead return to the desktop. Near everyone on the friends list has something to do or something to tell about themselves. Case in point, as it turns out, Wiseman is a big fan of playing the original Digimon Battle card game. I of course get a kick out of that for 2 reasons. The first is that I played 3 of the 4 versions of the Digimon card game released in America. I'm still in fact collecting cards from the 3rd variant, and only didn't try out the 4th because Bandai of America is terrible at getting card games in the market for people to buy. The second is due to Wiseman's voice actor being Steve Bloom, who of course has voiced numerous characters for Digimon's dubs. This is one of the few times his other voice roles are given a chance to be referenced back to in another medium and role he's taken on, and is exceedingly rare for that to happen in English dubs and voiceover for, well, anything to have that happen. Whereas occurrences of such cross-series references homaging a voice actor's work are far more common in the Japanese media landscape, especially with their long runners and staple talent, permitting such to be an industry in-joke the fans catch on to, as I have discussed in other reviews. Hell, the only other ones in English media I can name that have that distinction pop up in some way, shape, or form also happen to be other voice actors who were part of Dot Hack's English dubs like Yuri Lowenthal, Brianne Siddall, Bridget Hoffman, Liam O'Brien, Aaron Fitzgerald, and Mary McGlynn. It's otherwise normally hard to pin such down. Rachel herself has started up a courier service for players in dungeons to receive supplies on the go, while Moonstone has located a rare item called the Moon Knife, which is found at Dying Grieving Battlefield. As per the norm, it's at the God statue, and giving it to him gives us the stat book called the Secret Divine, which adds 2 points to our physical accuracy. Sigma Expansive Corrupted Ridgeline is where Rachel's headed to deliver items. Right inside the dungeon, a player named Kita gives the job, and it turns out to be another fetch quest involving trade circles. But Rachel takes it, mostly in stride, her dialogue making the inference that she's big on gathering disposable income for use in the game. I wouldn't mind so much, but it's ridiculously easy to clear out a dungeon and sell the unusual loot to pad out your funds. Hell, not once in these games have I had an insufficient quantity of funds with which to purchase healing items or spell scrolls. The best equipment you can't buy as it is, and there's nothing approaching an auction house where rare items can be looted. And while the trade round finishes after finding the 3rd player in the area, Kai points out the logical fallacy of asking for a courier to get items from people in the same dungeon, since they could just meet up outside of it or use sprite ocarinas to gather together, essentially getting the NPCs to reveal that they were just screwing with Rachel the entire time, after which she shuts down her service. She should have just stuck with organizing a trading event, as a trade bazaar and auction house for rare loot and crafting items actually makes sense for an MMO. Case in point, World of Warcraft, which has been in use since day 1 for them. Hell, it's another example of why the immersion was better in GU with that, considering the guild shops. Also at this time, if you've been padding the levels of your characters and been importing your saves all the way back, there is also a special area that unlocks and you'll now be able to access as you're at the right level for it. Lambda Stalking Betrayed Nothingness, where posters on the board have seen a floating red wand. Naturally, Kite is having flashbacks to Skaith, and the team needs to check it out. As Kite hits the bottom of the dungeon, the wand appears, and from it emerges Sora, who has been bound to it since he was data drained in Sign. In gratitude for freeing him, though Ryo Misaki himself in the real world will remain comatose with the others, Sora gives you his blades. They have only basic skill attacks, but have the death ability, allowing you, on occasion, to completely deplete the health of an enemy. You're likely to have better stat weapons than them by this point, but Sora's blades are still damn good against non-data bugged enemies. Lambda Merciless Grieving Furnace is a level 62 area, which the team should be above by now if you went to get Sora's blades. Deep inside, Aura once more appears, Lios watching from behind them, as her second fragment rejoins with her. However, Morgana has Kubia to keep the two from meeting properly, and Lios once more gets a front row seat to what he considers anomalies. Kubia has gotten much larger since the last time it appeared, naturally reflecting the growth of the Twilight Bracelet. Kubia has 2 cores you need to get through this time, one with 2,000 health, and a second one with 5,000. It also sports a new thunder attack called Jihad. Everything else you've seen by now, and the method of defeat is the same as last time. Keep an eye on your health, as there isn't a Wave Master to fully dedicate to healing this time around. Though, with Balmug of the Wings, the battle does move a bit faster than last time when you get to the physical attack damage side of things. Kubia once more retreats once its second core goes down, Lios unbelieving something that massive could be taken down by the brats he looks down upon. Though it's right around here that the events of the case of the Yuki Aihara OVA appear to have happened, shutting down power in Yokohama, or at least this is when the news articles of the series finally make mention of it. Back in town, Kite wonders if the system's infection is influencing Kubia's growth, and gets the idea to try and bring Helba and Lios together to fix the world. Black Rose posting a message on the board to trigger this, tipping Lios off to a meeting in Paradise, which they set up for. He, of course, uses this as an opportunity to ambush them, not realizing he played exactly into their plan.
The hackers. They're having a good laugh. They find the current affairs to be quite amusing.
Do I need to say anything about this propaganda at this point?
Lios, you should know by now that the problems are unrelated to Helba.
What do you know? Do you think you're a hero now because of that bracelet? Don't make me laugh. So wear that thing if you want. I will restore the system without the help of that abominable item.
Lios, that's not what I'm saying. I'm trying to tell you that if we want the same results, we should work together.
I do not work with hackers.
You pighead! It makes me want to bust your brains out if you have any!
If he wasn't so thick-skulled, I'd have done it already.
Lios, of course, doesn't get what they're trying to say at the point Helba shows up, the three hitting him from all angles to tear apart his arguments. However, Lios sets a challenge for Kite, to retrieve a virus core from Sigma, Sorrowful, Sweltering Arena, without using data drain once in the area. Black Rose says that's unreasonable, but Kite accepts it without hesitation. But at the very least, the area is level 62, so it's another easy journey down to the bottom, where you face a data-bugged Makatu Mukuro. Except, it's taking damage. Something that shouldn't be possible in its data-bugged state. At least, normally. Lios is stunned the group actually went through with it, considering the danger posed. Though considering the group has faced the phases which are stronger, it's not too surprising, especially since it's a fake Lios has programmed. Turns out that though Lios is a stubborn jerk, he's not all bad. He does want to keep the world as a safe place. That's why he's tried his best to keep dangerous areas out of the reach of normal players, and like Balmug was quick to hit on the hacker dogma. Aside from the CC Corp executives, there are really no evil characters in this iteration of the series, just people with different views and values, and different responsibilities that sometimes come into conflict, and this is all reflected in a game within a game where who they are in reality doesn't matter, allowing the core of themselves to shine through. It's another reason why this game and the greater franchise keeps drawing me back despite its flaws. It really is that damn smart. Helba shows up to naturally taunt Lios, but also to warn him. Former CC Corp sympathizers are beginning to catch on that they've done more harm to the situation than helped them, and the executives are already formulating their Plan Z to cover their asses.
Physical destruction of the servers. They are planning on throwing this world in the dark along with the lost ones.
Even Lios is aghast at that, as he wants to see the victims all recover as well. And as the infection has already reached out into other parts of the network, not only will the lost ones die if the servers are destroyed, but so will any chance of purging that infection from the network. Meeting CC Corp's own greed will seal everyone's doom. And all to merely remove evidence that the company actually started this whole mess with their policies and practices. You see why I call them as an exception on the no actual evil in this series thing? And so, this is the decisive moment. Lios allies with the crew. the Queen of Darkness and the King of Light have now united against the Cursed Wave, just as it was written in the Epitaph of Twilight. The board is a new thread about cursed areas, a player giving up 2 areas to check. Sigma Fleeting Fellow Chaos requires a virus core Q, a G, 2 H's, and 2 I's to open, and features a Databug Star Eater, but likewise the statements of the area being cursed are unsubstantial. The event character thread tips kite off to an area with the Creator's Room, Sigma Resonating Falls Grasslands, and needs an R, G, I, and 3 H cores to open. This one hosts an old model cottage and another piece of the Epitaph. Wiseman sends a message to gather the team for a strategy session at Netslum to battle the Cursed Wave. At it, Helba and Lios are decided upon to work on managing the data and keeping collateral damage to a minimum. Wiseman will focus on data analysis to better understand the wave's purpose, and Kite will form a team for the battle. With this, we cut over to Carmine and Gallica. Elk worried at how he can't get in contact with me anymore. It's like she dropped off the map of the world. In the mail, Wiseman forwards a message from Helba. They found the hiding spot of the next phase, Sigma Chatting Snaring Twins, prompting another visit to Netslum to prepare, and at which Kite is prompted to make a speech.
This operation is to find the clue to restore the world and to help the comatose victims. It's my understanding that Wiseman named the operation in hopes that, like the jetties on the beach, we can nullify the powerful force of a wave by working together. Everyone, please lend me your hands.
Yes, speeches are not his strong suit.
May the grace of the Twilight Dragon be with us. Commence Operation Breakwater!
Chatting Snaring Twins is not a locked area, but it has a host of the stronger monsters of the Sigma server. And as you have fair warnings of battling a phase, remember to stock up on supplies. The 5th phase is Gory, the Machinator, consisting of a pair of heads in a rather familiar oblong shape. It actually took me a while to figure out why that was, as for all intents and purposes, the design is pretty unique. Then, I pulled this out of my mental storage. Is the Dot Hack franchise trolling me with the unintentional Digimon references?
Just who designs these freaky things anyway?
I'm pretty sure it was Yoshiyuki Sadamoto. Despite Gory being in 2 parts, damage to one damages the both of them. However, one half of Gory bears physical tolerance, and the other magic tolerance. Like Fischl, Gory can cast status ailments. Gory's Creeping Murder does more damage the closer the victim is to the phase, doing a minimum 1,000 damage. Blade of Skiing catches the victim between the halves, the pair spinning like tops and crushing the party member between them, doing at minimum 100 damage a hit. The 3rd unique attack, Flare of Conspiracy, only focuses on one party member, but like before hits for well over 1,000 damage, and in a cutscene at that. The Data Drain cutscene is weird for Gory as well, as it manifests between the divided phase. Not well thought out this time. Despite being rather solid as compared to the prior few phases, Gory's Data Drain form still consists of the woven together pods, indicative of the Cursed Wave.
No! I can't! How?
Huh. The phase speaks as it dies again. Helba and Lios phase in, finding no damage has occurred. That is until a surge in data occurs on the Theta server. Morgana has taken a beating as this new aspect of herself has fallen, and the Cursed Wave, as Wiseman puts it, is now on the run.
Counterattack? No. We have just realized the true rule of the game. Herald created.
Great! Are you actually going to elaborate on that point, or are you going to keep those who didn't watch Sign hanging? That is a legitimate question. There are those who never figured out what he meant by that. This ends the main story of Outbreak, but as before, there's post-game and additional side quest content to cover. Min from Bandai is our 3rd wall breaker this time, telling of a giant creature at Lambda pulsating Sea of Cloud Whale. Also, we get an email from Natsume that was meant for Black Rose that I find rather funny, considering the explanations I gave on the romance dynamic I gave last review. The goblins this time around have a new annoyance. Now they have clones. Elemental weaknesses are gone, and each goblin has a different set of strengths. Sehoni and Halberd can be put to sleep, whereas Jonue and Zayan are slow enough to fight outright. Run parallel to them, then snipe at them with hit and run tactics. Using the speed scrolls, you can run away from them until battle is cancelled, then rush at them, and they won't be able to move fast enough to evade getting hit. Martinez always is another beast altogether, but falls into the same category as was needed in Mutation. Remove her magic protection, then cast sleep spells. Entering Lambda Pulsating Sea of Cloud Whale requires the V virus core obtained from draining Gory to enter, and leads to another unique field with familiar dungeon surroundings. At the bottom is the Black Death Monster. Data draining it gives the Golden Yasha, a twin blade weapon with wood element attacks, and its death releasing a cast of images for the desktop. As for the extra secret areas that can be explored for special items, well, there's actually a large cache of them, totaling 8 in all. For simplicity's sake, I will merely throw up the first 7 in a visual card, but I do want to talk about the 8th one. Each of these has a rare equipment piece and a treasure item one of the trader NPCs desires, and will give up another rare weapon or armor in exchange for them. The 8th secret area is Sigma Abrasive False Tragedy, and right inside the dungeon you meet A20. She gives up an item called the Crystal Stone and offers her interest in fighting golden grunties, further gifting Kite with a stash of every type of grunty food. So if you've been running low, your stores have just been given a boost. Further down, Kites and company find Elk, who has been going from area to area trying to find the still absentee Mia, though their talk is interrupted by a monster appearing. It's a common one for all intents and purposes, but after it is defeated, who should appear but Bear, who Kite mistakes for Orca. As the area is up in the 60s, it's a wonder why he's here, when he prefers to help out newbies. But in recognition of the meeting, Bear gives Kite his sword, which makes for a fair upgrade to the Blade Master you gifted to, and answers the question of why Bear's sword was not among the items given to Kite at the end of the Ghost event. The God statue also has the Maiden's Plot item, so don't miss the statue or you will have to descend again. Additionally, if you are interested in padding the party's levels for the finale in Quarantine, use the keywords Resonating and Worst for parts A and B of the area generator in Sigma server, and no matter the last keyword you put in, you will have a level 70 area to go out to conquer. But for now, I will see you all back here for Outbreak's Liminality story next time.